Real talk only, this show ain't for the fake and the phony. Nah, we speaking it boldly, I'll give it the way that God told me. Yeah, I follow his lead, ain't what they want but I give what they need. Not wanna compromise, never concede, cause I need the truth like the air that I breathe. My recommendation, if you wanna change generations, hit play, let's talk about keeping it real. We get it in these conversations, yeah.
Welcome to Candid Conversations, where we talk about the real, the hard, and the hard to understand. I'm your host, Aaron Cooley, and yeah, let's get into it. Another solo dolo. Like I said, we just moving. We don't know exactly what it's gonna look like. Gonna have guests sooner or later, but a lot of the people I want to chit chat with and stuff, they just busy. You know, it's that kind of year. People just seem to be doing a lot of things, which is not a bad thing. So, but just wanted to talk about this idea today of safety. I think I've mentioned it probably in previous podcasts of wanting this to be a safe place. Like this is a place. Hold on, let me tweak that. Maybe that's a little better. Yeah. Still learning the technology. We gonna get it. But this is a safe place to interact, a safe place to grow and learn. And what does it mean though for that to be a safe place, and what does it mean to have safety in your life? So I think that's something I've discovered in the past, let's just say year. I think really in the year, especially in the last 6 months, the significance of safety, like how important it is to feel safe, to have a safe place, to have a safe person, to understand what is safe for you. Yeah, all those things. So let's hop into it, have a conversation about it. So safety, I think there has been we're in a new age where counseling is normal, where talking about things is normal, and as it should be. I would suggest that everyone gets counseling, and maybe it's not every week for the rest of your life, but tune in, get counseling, get healed from some things, get some healing. I think we're constantly healing because life is constantly happening. So get that healing, whatever that looks like. And then just like you would go to get a checkup or get a physical once a year, go get counseling, go check in. Hey, I'm just double checking, seeing how life is going, making sure everything is right. And part of that is safety. If you don't have a safe place right now, you don't have a safe person, that is the place to go, a place to understand. And so, sorry, I got all kind of thoughts, figuring out the best way to order it. Let's just talk about having a safe person. I have recently discovered what it means to have a safe person again. Or I should say the significance of a safe person. I have some safe people in my life, and I think there's a difference between just having a safe person and understanding that they are safe. Because I would hope that a lot of us actually have a few safe people in our lives, people we can go to, people we can talk to and ask questions, and just put it all out there for. And I think on the other side of that is, do you know they're safe? Because they might know they're safe and they're not going to share. They're not going to hurt or harm you intentionally. They're going to listen. They're going to be there. But I think oftentimes, at least for myself, it wasn't me knowing, okay, it was like, I know they're safe, but here, my heart, it's like, but I'm going to hold something back just in case being fully known is a little too much for you. So just having that person, to be fully known, at least to the place I know myself at this point, as a human can, and then sharing what is known, sharing what is not known, still figuring out and being safe, life-changing because God built us for community. He said it is not good for man to be alone. And we often take that verse as you need a spouse, you need someone of the opposite sex to do life with, or you need someone to be intimate with. And it's not that. It's God, the triune God, is in community. We are made in his image, the Imago Dei, meaning we also need community. So understanding having community and then having a safe place in that community, or a safe person, and how significant that is to be able to be safe enough to be you, to be vulnerable, to be hurt, to be angry, to be happy. Some people you're not even safe to be happy around because they get jealous or upset or don't like seeing you succeed when they're not. So, a safe person, super important. And what does it look like to find one? I think it starts with being vulnerable. Like it sucks. Once again, coming back to that idea of this is vulnerability is crucial to intimacy, crucial to growth, crucial to relationship. And so it's kind of that like, are you willing to try it? Are you willing to test the waters? Are you willing to be, hey, I don't know, but I'm gonna reveal and maybe not revealing the biggest thing, but level by level. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about this. It's been on my mind, and seeing how people process, see how people react. And once again, that doesn't mean if they react in a way that's not helpful or kind of negative, it doesn't mean they're a terrible person. Some people just aren't four-season people. Some people can't deal with your winters. They're there for summer, spring, a little bit of fall. Some are just there for summer and just deciphering what that is. But a safe person, at least one. If you have two or three, you talking about something, because that's something. Because Jesus had his 12 and then his 3, and those were probably the safest he felt around. And a safe place. Do you have a person is so great, and a place to be safe? Do you have a place where you can go and rest? Like you can sit and you can cry there, you can laugh there, you can be goofy there. I would hope that is your home. For a very long time, that was not the case for me. So I understand for a lot of people as well, it's not. Your home isn't safe, whether because of physical things, mental things, spiritual things, just not feeling wanted, all the life situations, having to pay bills that you feel behind on. So even though you're safe in the physical, there's that stress of having to take care of something. Find that place. If it's a park, if it's the parking lot of a Dairy Queen, like whatever that place is if it's a basketball court, that for a long time, that was a safe place for me. Not even playing, just simply sitting on a basketball court all alone was a safe place. It was a place to process and understand. And so, in that context of safety, person, place. And what that really means is you need a person in place where you can do these 3 things. You can process, you can prepare, you can proceed. So process is, and it's actually a cycle that you would repeat. So after the proceeding, you would process that. So let's start with process. Something took place, something is going on. You need a safe place to process in private. Not everything is for the public. Not everything can be discussed in public. Some things need to be processed in private. And so the safe place where you can talk about the real feelings, the struggles, the frustrations, the hopes, the dreams, to process that safely with another. And then from there, you get to prepare, a safe place to prepare, a safe person to prepare with. Process, what comes next? What does moving forward look like? Whether it's with a business, a relationship, careers, a hobby, just a thought process, a perspective you're trying to renew. How do you prepare now for this new season? Stepping into new things. How do we move forward? Great. You need a safe place to even prepare, because if that's where you're putting your seed in good soil. It doesn't matter how great you prepare if the soil is bad. It's not growing there. So a safe place to prepare, and then you proceed. Now, proceeding doesn't have to be public all the time. And oftentimes proceeding means you are walking more into a public area, public place where others can see, because now you're moving towards that thing. If it's something more physical, and you need people around you who know what the process was, what the preparedness was, and how to help you as you proceed. And as that continues, you would do it again. All right, now let's process where we are. Okay, this is what's going on. This is okay. Feedback back and forth. Great. Thank you for a safe place. And then you would prepare again for the next step, for the next season, whatever that looks like. And so those 3 things: process, prepare, proceed, whatever that may look like for you, a safe person and safe place. Super important. And Jesus had his 3. Within that 3, there still was him going to the Garden of Gethsemane and saying, hey, would you stay up and pray? Pray with me, pray for me, pray by my side. They couldn't even stay awake. And that's no bashing them. They've been up all day. It's been long journeys, all the different things, right? We are human. And I think that's in the Bible to point to the fact that we aren't enough. You by yourself are not enough. The community alone will not be enough. They are essential and they are not enough. There is a God-sized hole that can only be filled by the God, the one true God. And so I say that as an understanding of even having seasons where I try to do things alone, or just, man, if I just include enough people, maybe that will work in. No, that doesn't work. And I've tried it with just God. God is enough, and he built us for community. So it's not that God is less than, and he created me for community. So I need both, and I need God and community. So understanding what that looks like, that was an example of Jesus needed God, that man alone was not enough. And I think really some of those things might be known. You need a safe place, safe person. I think all of us are pursuing that, even if we might not have words for it. And really what I wanted to talk about is this understanding that I'm learning, that what does safety actually look like? What does it mean to be safe? And I think we can all have a picture, something in our head of what that means to be safe. And so for some of us, you think of a safe box, like a safe, like where you lock all your goods in. It's locked tight, can't get in there, nothing can get out. But that's the problem. Building walls, building that structure around you, nothing can get in and out. There is no moving forward. Safety is a place to move forward in. If you're not moving forward, if it's just stillness, if there is no, and not stillness in the sense of rest, but if it's just there, you're just locked up, that's not really safety. That's a prison. That's the definition of a prison, to be stuck in that place. And so it's not that. Safety for some of us might look like comfortable. I am comfortable here, so I'm safe. Also, not true, but definitely not the wholeness of it at all. Think of how many times you felt comfortable in bad situations, because it is known. Comfortable oftentimes is more about you knowing the situation than it actually being good for you. You knowing how to operate in toxic more so than it actually being good. And so really just thinking about this, what does it mean to be safe, to have a safe place, a safe person, or really what is safety? And I think I don't like it. What I've been learning to say, I don't like it. And it makes so much more sense. And so I believe there's a lot of people walking through, and I forgot who said this. I'm sure multiple, I don't know who coined it, I should say, but you're either walking into a hard situation, you're in one, or you're just not walking out. And so it's like there's always these ebbs and flows of life. And so if that's the case, if life is this, how do you have safety through it all? What did that look like to have safety can't just be because nothing else is going on. If nothing else is going on, you wouldn't need to have safety. You don't need to go to a safe place unless something is happening that requires safety. Peace, you don't need safety and peace. And so, or not necessarily. So what does that mean? And so, really, let me just crack open this joint real quick. Give me just a moment. Let's see what we got. All right, because I read this and crazy, wild. I think we all, or many of you know that story of Jesus calming the storm, right? So he had told his disciples, hey, we're going to cross over to the other side of the lake. And so here we are, Matthew 8:23. Then he got into the boat and his disciples followed him. Suddenly a furious storm came up on the lake so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping. The disciples went and woke him up, saying, Lord, save us. We're going to drown. He replied, you have little faith. Why are you so afraid? Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. And they were amazed by this. What kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him. And so we talk about that in the understanding of like, man, God can do all things. Jesus can do all things. And that is true. And it also gave rise to this understanding of safety. Safety sometimes looks like a storm, or what is safety in the storm, that safety is not the lack of a storm, meaning that, so this is what happened. Jesus says, hey, let us cross to the other side. He's saying, this is what we're going to do. This is the direction we're moving. They get in the boat and the disciples follow him. So hear this. He gets in the boat first. He said, this is where we're going. I'm leading. They get in and follow, just like it should be in our lives. God says, hey, this is where I'm going. I know the steps. You just have to follow that step right in front of you. Like you see that step, just follow that one step. You won't know the next 20. Suddenly, so they get in the boat and then suddenly, it didn't say that they were going, it kind of came and grew suddenly, which storms often happen that way. Suddenly a furious storm came up on the lake so that the waves swept over the boat. Ooh, I didn't even noticed that. Swept over the boat. Okay, I can't swim. I think we talked about this maybe, but I'm working on it. We want to get there. But to think of being in a boat, especially in that day and age, and waves over the boat, these aren't no little here and here. And so pointing out that the disciples saying, hey, Lord, save us. We are going to drown. Like they were making a definitive statement. They weren't saying, hey, it looks like we might drown. It's struggle. What should we do? They said, we're going to drown. What is interesting about this is, one, they knew to go to Jesus. So even in this place of learning what safety is, go to Jesus. He is the safe person. The Holy Spirit is the counselor, Prince of Peace. And so understanding that, and really though, to get this perspective, this furious storm is happening, but Jesus was sleeping. I'm a word person, English major, but Jesus was sleeping. And they say, and Jesus was sleeping. Like this was happening, and this is what happening, and this is happening. It was like, but means in contrast to. This storm is furious, but Jesus is slumped. And it made me pause. If he's asleep, why am I stressing? If God is resting, why am I stressing? And I think oftentimes we believe that where God is calling us to should be safe, that the process should be safe. And yet here it shows that he tells them, this is where we're going. And it was even a place they understood they were going. They knew the destination. Like this like in a real literal way, it was, we're going to cross to the other side. All right. We know what that looks like. We know what could be expected. But I think when he said that, they were expecting, without even knowing, they were expecting it to be calm. Like Jesus said it, so it's going to be an easy trip, not realizing the sea is still the sea. Water is still the water. Rivers are still rivers. They're going to ebb and flow. There's going to be storms. That's just what that's going to do. Life is going to life. So expect life to life. And it doesn't mean we're not safe because of it. Jesus is sleeping, meaning that him as a safe person, as our person, that we can rest fully in him. If God said step there, if God said, hey, this is where we're moving, come on, follow me, then automatically, if we are believing we are following him, it should be rest. We should expect storms to come because we're on the sea. Like it shouldn't be a mind-boggling thing when storms come this way and that way suddenly too. Some creep, but sometimes it's like, all right, God, I feel like he spoke. I feel like this is what we're supposed to do. This is how we're supposed to move. And I think you could, for non-believers, for people who have gone through, who have started businesses or went to school, or man, I'm going to play professional sport, whatever, you've gone on an endeavor to pursue something. I'm guessing there has been times where as soon as you said, hey, this is what we're doing, this is how we're moving, wow, storms come. Life. And life is happening. Life doesn't stop because you decide. So why, but we take that opposition as this is wrong. But when Jesus says step, it's not that the opposition is wrong. The life is lifing, but how do we rest in that? How do we rest in God? And I think that's being connected to him, trusting him, and understanding that I'm following him. And he says, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? It sounds like a silly question. Why are you so afraid? Aaron, why are you so afraid? God, I can't swim. And that's the assumption that if worst case scenario happens, I'm going to die. And yet, even in the worst case scenario, Peter walked on water. There is no worst case scenario with God. He gets you through. He sleeps through what we worry about. He rests through where we worry. And so just this understanding of part of safety, sometimes safety looks like storms. Sometimes safety has storms, and it doesn't mean you're not safe. So that's one aspect that probably is more to be fleshed out there. And then this other one. So that one you might be like, all right, that makes sense. Life gonna keep life, and God got us. He said, move this direction, we're gonna move this direction. And the other thing, if you are moving, you've prayed about it, you're like, I think this is what God wants me to do. Even if it's not exactly what he wanted you to do, because you're trying to follow him, he's still going to direct you and protect you. Because that's just how good God is. So now let's move on over to this next one. Because this next one, a doozy. All right. Okay, so Paul is trying to get to, let me give me just a second. Oh yeah, so Paul is trying to travel to stand trial before Caesar, right? God tells him this is, once again, angel comes and tells him, hey, this, like, don't worry, this is where you gotta go. Once again, God's saying this is where you're going. This has to happen. Don't trip on what's taking place. And that all sounds wonderful. Hopefully this doesn't sound back and forth. Maybe that's a little better. We'll see. Still tweaking on it. But so God once again tells him, hey, this is how we moving. This is how we shifting. This is how we grooving. Don't trip on this. But what had happened was the winter is coming. And so he's like, all right, I need to travel here. But the people are like, storms are coming. And he tells them, hey, we should stay here for now. Because it's not the time. God says it's not the time. They don't listen because they are, my goodness, hold up. Words. They direct ships. They're not boaters. Oh my goodness. Sorry, it's going to bother me if I don't find this word. It's really going to bother me. Sailors. My goodness, they're sailors. This is what they do. So when they're saying, hey, winter's coming, this isn't a good dock we got to go. So that was kind of their understanding. Like this, we can't do that here. We got to keep moving. And so they keep moving, right? And a storm, once again, it says, before long, a wind of hurricane force called the Northeaster. It got a name. They've been naming storm for a minute. A wind of hurricane force comes. And so now they just at the mercy of the wind. They started, it felt gentle. And isn't that just like what we've experienced in life? Okay, this is where you're headed. Don't worry, I got you covered. Cool. And it feels gentle that first few steps. And then bow. Storms, right? Once again, storms. So safety sometimes looks like storms, right? And then in this part, they about to die. Like everything, they're throwing stuff over, trying to just survive. And this is what Paul says. This man is a savage. After they had gone a long time without food, Paul stood up before them and said, this is Acts 27, starting in 21. Men, you should have taken my advice. First off, that's savage to say in this situation. Can you imagine being on the boat? You sail. That's what you do. You're trying to survive, make sure everyone lives. And this man come up to you and say, hey, and he's also like, he's still in shackles. Like he's not a free man right now. So he might have not had shackles physically on him at this moment, but he's not like a free man. So can you imagine a prisoner being like, hey, y'all should have listened to me. Not to sail from Crete. Then you would have spared yourselves this damage and loss. But now I urge you to keep up your courage, because not one of you will be lost. Only the ship will be destroyed. Last night, an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I serve stood beside me and said, do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand trial before Caesar, and God has graciously given you the lives of all who sail with you. So keep up your courage, men, for I have faith in God that it will happen just as he told me. Nevertheless, we must run aground on some island. Sometimes we read the Bible, but we don't read it. We don't like, you got to see that jump. Hey, I know it's looking bad, but don't worry. God told us we're going to survive. Oh, good. Yes. Whew, that's good. That's good news. I've seen how you operate. I've seen you got to do some things. That's great. Whew. Also, nevertheless, we must run aground on some island. Oh, wait, what? What do you mean? I'm saying we have to crash. The ship will crash. Hey, don't worry. Y'all gonna be safe. The ship's gonna crash. And it just speaks to the volume that sometimes safety looks like survival. Safety does not mean everything's going to go well. Doesn't mean you're not going to trip. Doesn't mean there's not going to be crashes. It simply means survival sometimes. Not all the time, but it can mean survival. And so let me see. Okay, and so then this happens on the 14th night. So a few days later, fearing that we would be dashed against the rocks, they dropped 4 anchors from the stern and prayed for daylight. In an attempt to escape from the ship, the sailors let the lifeboat down into the sea, pretending they were going to lower some anchors from the bow. Then Paul said to the centurion and the soldiers, "Unless these men stay with the ship, you cannot be saved." So the soldiers cut the ropes that held the lifeboat and let it drift away. What if your safety was determined by staying in what's going to crash? Now, there's so many directions we could go with that, but it made me, whoa, hold up, what do you mean? Sometimes you can't just jump ship in certain situations. And what I mean by that, it's not, but understand why. Because sometimes jumping ship is the safe thing to do, right? But here, let's see. So he comes again. He says, "Hey, y'all haven't eaten anything in some days. I'm gonna need you to eat. You need it to survive. Not one of you will, you hear that? You need it to survive. Not one of you will lose a single hair from his head." After he said this, he took some bread and gave thanks to God in front of them all. Then he broke it and began to eat. They were all encouraged and ate some food themselves. And let's go down. They kept throwing stuff off to lighten the ship. Let's see. All right, let's see. Then they hoisted the foresail to the wind and made for the beach. But the ship struck a sandbar and ran aground. The bow stuck fast and would not move, and the stern was broken to pieces by the pounding of the surf. The soldiers planned to kill the prisoners to prevent any of them from swimming away and escaping. But the centurion wanted to spare Paul's life and kept them from carrying out their plan. He ordered those who could swim to jump overboard first and get to land. Hear that? Like I said, sometimes jumping ship is correct. Though it already had crashed, sometimes that is the thing. Let's jump ship. We got to go. But you hear that? Who could swim? God, I can't swim. I'm working on, I can't quite swim yet. The rest were to get there on planks or on other pieces of the ship. In this way, everyone reached land safely. Come on now. This understanding that safety sometimes is found in the very thing that was broken. Sometimes the thing that is broken carries you to safety. And I'm still wrapping my brain around what that actually means fully. But it also is an understanding, I think, really just an encouragement for some of you that feel like you don't feel safe. You might have a safe person. You might even have a safe place. Maybe you're still working on those, finding those things, discovering those. And some of us have those and it's still like, all right, but that's great. But the situation I'm in right now, this storm, it don't feel safe. The waves is literally over my head. I feel like I'm about to die and drown. But is God resting? Like that was something I would challenge you to ask. Hey God, I know you see what's going on. You know, I'm a little all this stuff is happening. But God, are you asleep? Are you resting in this? Because if you at peace, I'm at peace. God is never sleeping, right? But it's God, are you resting? Because if you resting, then we chilling, right? Second, some of you feel like you know, actually, it ain't even a feeling. We are going to crash, and you want to jump ship before it's time, because it says it crashes, then they jump ship. you want to jump ship before it's time. And he said, if they leave, if they get off this boat, you cannot survive. You don't always know what you staying a little longer in certain situations at that job, in that family dynamic, different things, not to the self-harm of you. Once again, not a single hair on your head will be lost. So not to the harm of you, right? There, those are situations you get out of. There nothing to talk about there really. But it's this idea, what does you staying a little longer, how many other lives can be saved? There was purpose in this. There was purpose that Paul was on this ship and all those lives were saved, right? So asking, all right, God, when do I jump ship? When do I swim to land? Safety sometimes requires work, right? There's sometimes it requires something of you to participate in the safety. And then also, God, I can't swim. Please show me if this ship is part of the safety. If this is a safety of survival. And what's funny is where they ended up, there was purpose on that island that took place. And then they were provided a ship to get where they were going. All interruptions aren't God's plan. And he can use all interruptions. Once again, all interruptions, what we would call an interruption, or I thought I was going here, I'm not going to say every single one of them, God planned that. He allows, but it's not some things, it's because we weren't obedient. And that sucks. Hence the survival. God didn't plan for you to be in that situation. He's like, my safety looks like you're going to survive this. Don't worry. You're going to survive this. I got you. It might not feel good, but you're going to survive. And because I'm just a good God, I'm going to have purpose in that too. There's going to be purpose in the crash. There's going to be purpose in these planks. And I'm still going to get you where we're going. And so just this idea of safety, I don't know, it has just been sitting with me the past few days, really thinking about what does it look like to be safe? How do I process safe? How do I prepare safe? And then how do I proceed safe? And when I say proceed safe, once again, oftentimes proceeding is going into the public with these things. And it's not, let me tell you all about what's been going on. It's sometimes just I process what's happening. I still have to continue to walk this life out. How do I proceed well? How do I prepare for maybe backlash? How do I prepare for the comments and the naysayers and the things like, do you know that safety is in Jesus? Safety is in the community you have. Because if you don't know those things, when life starts lifing, them comments start getting real aggressive. If you don't have those things, it's going to always feel unsafe. If we walked around, if you really looked around and looked at life can be unsafe at all times. Cars, you walk across the road at the wrong time, bow, get hit. But there's safety measures everywhere. And it's, if we're not aware of what those safety measures are, if we're not aware of those safe places, the sidewalk, a safe place to walk to still get where I'm going without getting hit, then it's always going to be, oh my goodness, it's so dangerous out here. And there's a safe place to be. Now it might be raining, so that's unfortunate. That kind of sucks sometimes. A car might drive by and splash you with water, but that doesn't mean you're not safe. They're just seasons of survival. They're seasons of storms, and there is safety in both those things. So yeah, that just something I've been wrestling with, or maybe not struggling with in some ways, but really understanding, oh, okay, I need to reevaluate what I have called safe or not safe, because God has kept me safe in a lot more places and ways than I originally understood. And so hopefully that encourages someone, or many of you someone's. I know this is more of a monologue. Would love to see some of y'all face-to-face, have conversations. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have some people to chit chat with, because I got some friends and people that got some words of wisdom that is worth hearing, and just some questions. Sometimes I'll be having conversations where we just be asking a bunch of questions because we like, I don't know either, but it's the questions that even lead to new perspective and thoughts and ideas. So yeah, I think that's all I got for today. Appreciate y'all checking it out. If there is anything in particular that you want to talk about or got questions about, please ask, submit, Even if you're like, I disagree or whatever, I'm here for it. Would love to have conversations with y'all. So yeah, that is it. Till next time. Peace.